Hello, this is another video on Windows Server 2012 R2. Now today we'll be looking at creating and configuring Active Directory and creating user accounts as well. Now Active Directory, what's Active Directory? Active Directory is the main focus or reason for using Windows Server 2012 R2, because Active Directory, what it does is it brings together in one place the combination of resources, files, folders, sharing of disk space under one umbrella for a system administrator to manage under one point. And within Windows 2012 Server, it even makes it good in the sense for the system administrator, he doesn't even necessarily have to be on that mainframe server to manage it, because as long as there's Active Directory, all he needs to do is he could log in from another server or another PC elsewhere remotely and be able to manage it. That's because of Active Directory. So Active Directory is a center point. That's the definition. Active Directory is a center point to manage files, folders, disk space, creating user accounts under, and even managing the printers under one umbrella body. That's what Active Directory does. So now let's move on. I already started this, but for those who weren't watching, I will start it again. Like, there are three ways to create Active Directory. You can come to Manage, click on Manage. There'll be a drop down menu there. You can click Manage, and there we click on Add Roles and Features. The second step is click on this bar here, which is Add Roles and Features, or just click on Configure this local server. So let's click on this. Just a recap. Click Next. I would say Microsoft has made things quite a lot easier here, especially better than the Windows 2000 server configuration. Now click on Next. Select the server from the server pool. Let's say we had more than one server. We just click on the one we want to configure Active Directory and click Next. By the way, I already changed the name of this server from the original or default name Microsoft Windows gives it. It gives it some Wim whatever number, but I've changed it to server. Now I clicked on Active Directory. I click Next. You need the .NET frame network, and I click Next, then Install. So after all that, it doesn't need a restart, but it comes up with this yellow triangle here, which is a notification that after installing the Active Directory, now you think that's done, but no, it's not done. What next now is to click to promote this server to a domain controller. So this creating of Active Directory now makes this server to be promoted. It gives you the option to promote this server to make it a domain controller, and that with the domain controller, that's when you can manage files, folders, and other resources of a network. Now I'm going to create mine. It's still loading. So it gives us three options of what deployment operation. The first one is add this domain controller to an existing domain. Let's say there's another server somewhere else. We just want to add this Windows server to another one. That's the way. Or add a new domain to an existing one. But for us, what we're going to do is we're going to add, because it's a new fresh install, we're going to create, say, add a new forest. And mine is going to be Digital PC Works. I'll just leave it as all small letters. Click on next. So digitalpcworks.com. Click on next. Yeah, it moves to the next domain controller. Now, here we should note this. This could be tested in the Windows Microsoft 70-410 exam, which is select the functional level of the new forest and root domain. This means the functional level, if let's say we have a Windows Server 2008 R2 on our network, then that means you want the functional level to function on the first functional level can go backward, can get backward compatible. That means it can work with from 2008 to 2012 R2. But for it to function properly as under the domain level, that means high security level, it has to always be Windows Server 2012. But because we are using the Windows Server 2012 installation, that's what this training is about. We will leave it like this. Domain name system DNS server. Yes, it needs to install. Now, in case, let's move to the next. In case we need to restore this, do a recovery process, we need a key. Just like in Linux, it says it asks for a root password and it asks for another password. That's how it is here. In case we need to do a restore mode or a restore process, we need to create a password for that. So I'll create my password. As you can see, so far it's easy and explanatory. Only that you have to know what you are doing. Now, this says a delegation for this DNS server cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found. Of course, this is correct because we don't have any DNS server yet. So we click next and it will automatically create the DNS server. NetBIOS. NetBIOS is a function found in the old like Windows. In the FAT system. So what we do now, it will automatically look for the name and put it there by itself. And it has a set of characters that it can use. So click next. Normally, the path for this database log files and sysvol, no, this sysvol, you must be very conversant with it for the 70-410 exam, because the sysvol talks about where files for the system entry is located, especially when logging into the Windows server. Now, normally it is advisable to install these folders to folders other than this C drive, but for this installation we just leave it on the C drive Windows directory. Click next, and the summary, and we click next. However, hold on, in case you decide that we want to use this entire script and automate your installation via PowerShell, because PowerShell is quite, look at that. All you just need to do is just copy this entire code, or save this entire code and import it on another Windows server, and it is just to carry out this process easily and swiftly. So let's click next, because we're using the GUI installation at the moment. Yeah, it's come up with an error. Now we shouldn't be scared of the error it comes up with. The main error, once it comes up with one error, it wouldn't go. So let's look at it. The reason for this error, I know the reason, but for tutorial train and for this training, I want to show us what we to do, what is meant for us to do. It says currently the local administrator password is blank, which might lead to security issues. We recommend that you Ctrl-Alt-Delete. So basically it's saying I should change the password. So now let's change our password. Change passwords. Put the old password. Put a new password. New password. Yep. The power of Windows Server 2012 R2. Hee. Let's change the password here. Yep. Change that password to confirm the password. Click next. Next again. Next. It should bring out the summary now. No, the path. Yep. The path to where it will install, like we said, have in a production environment. You could have them on different drives. That's all, just a different drive, not on the Windows drive, in case the Windows drive crashes. So have it on a different drive in a production environment. Yeah, the summary again. The password of new domain will be the same as the password of the local administrator of this account. So click next. Let's see how it goes this time. So what I've done right now is I've restarted the server, then changed the settings from the login details from the user account, change it to the administrator account. So this time it should configure easily. Oh, sorry. Yep, has have the .com on it. Now let's work now. Signing in. Yeah, we put the password here. Next. That's the kind of functional and domain login. Click next again. Let the netbrowse find the name. If it has there before it to complain. If it doesn't, it will display it and we'll move next. Yes. If it finds it, we move next. We click next. If it doesn't, yep, lovely. Doesn't have it before. Now we can use that and click next for the netbrowse. Yeah, the path to install the files. Microsoft doesn't recommend we install everything on the C drive, but on the same folder. Instead, they recommend you install them on a different folder. But for this training, we'll leave it on this default and we click next. Now, a review, a recap, and we click, like we say, we could decide to install it as a PowerShell by saving this file as a notepad, then later automating it. So click next. To run the prerequisite check. If there's any red, like we saw before, it will stop. If not, we'll click install. Like we saw in the earlier, in some cases, when it comes up with the red, like now, it's fine now. So that's why my tutorial that we are doing on Digital PC Works, it's a live tutorial. It's not some tutorial already cooked up. We saw how it came up with the passwords, the admin password having issues earlier, and all we did was just reinstall, we cancelled, restarted the server installation, just restarted, just click restart, just restarted. When we restarted, we then logged in. It changed the credentials from the name of the user instead to the admin user account, logged in, and now we can install this now. So click next to run the installation, which is to promote this server to a domain controller. So now the Active Directory Domain Services Configuration Wizard is carrying out its installation. Yeah. Which is how it should be. So if you see any threat or anything, just don't you're an admin, as an admin or a would-be admin, don't be threatened. Just restart and make sure you're working as an administrator account. Yeah, should take a few minutes. Great. Now the installation of this server has been promoted to a domain controller, and that way we will know by looking at the ADDS with the Active Directory Domain Services. Yep. And also it has a DNS configured. So what do we do? To further configure, you click on Manage. Now we click on Tools. Then go to DNS to see the DNS server. You can just click on the DNS tab. Do the same thing. Right click and come to DNS Manager. But right now we wouldn't look at this at the moment. Not for now. But with this, let's first finish with the Active Directory. So on the Active Directory, go right click on the Active Directory, and one of the first things to do is to go to Aid, Active Directory, Users and Computers. As a system administrator, those are the first things you need to do. So you right click on it, New, and let's say, see what I did. On the main digitalpcworks.com, you right click on it. Always remember, try and make things, put all the users and computers in one folder called the organizational unit. That way you could easily disseminate specific functions for the whole of them, which are called group policies. So let's say now new organizational unit. Let's call it Digital PC Works. Yep. Now this is, you will notice the difference between an organizational unit called OU, the difference with that and a user. Now the user is just a folder, while the OU, the organizational unit, has a folder but this yellow tick there. Can you see that? Yep. Yeah, now on this OU, let's create a new user account. Yeah. Highlight it, come to this section, right click on new user. Let's call him same. Maybe same guy. Let's call him Justin. Last name Guy. So his user login name will now be Justin Guy at digitalpcworks.com. Yep. Now click next. Give it a password. Password in should match. Now, for security reasons, as a system administrator, it's best to leave it like this: that user must change password at next login. So in those instances, you give them a basic password, maybe 1, 2, 3. That's a basic password. As you work in your organization, a basic password. Then as soon as that user logs in, they change it immediately. Then now, the next one is user cannot change password. Yep, you can't have both, and password never expires. Those two functions, these two are good when you're running a service account. Because some service accounts, not some, generally, they need to be constantly running. You don't want when a service account is compromised, then the person running it can change the account and stop other people from using the service. No. What you want is that user cannot change the password. And also, in that instance of a service account, that the account never expires. So user must change password. You can say user cannot change account. Yeah. Now account is disabled. That is, let's say this person's account that you created, and maybe it's just going to start next, maybe in 2 weeks' time, or maybe the person has left on holiday, or maybe the person has retired. You have to go there to ensure that you click on that user's account, and account is disabled, so that way you can have hackers, anyone using it. That's it. So let's say we leave it on user cannot change password, and password never expires. Yeah. What's the name? Justin Guy. Yeah. Let's move on. Finish. Now we have our first user account, and that's how you do generally. Yeah, and that's how to create an Active Directory, promote your Windows Server to a domain controller, and we created our user account. But next time we'll be able to look at how to create or add a computer to the domain account, And we'll move on from managing user accounts also in Active Directory. And that's our lesson finished. See, everything all green, all well configured, neat and tidy. That's how a system administration should run, should work, and should make work run easily. And with that, we'll be looking further at more installation guides. Like I said, during the installation and configuration of the Active Directory, at some point the server wasn't allowing it to promote. That's simple. Don't think you're doing a bad installation. Just log out, change your user account, and make sure you're running on the administrator account, and the installation goes through fine and easy. We'll be looking at the next installation. Thank you. This is Digital PC Works, and this is Emmanuel from Digital PC Works. Thank you. Bye.